Okay, here we go. There you are. All right. Senbatskano, everybody. It's Ariel Wyckoff here from Friends of Mongolia, also known in Mongolian as Mongolian Andod Tebebe, NGO in Mongolia. Another binartanda Angoriedig Olshara, Reve, Tanar, Mangor, Yermerben, Magagui, Yeriot Slugin Dara, Shod, Amana, Enkhtungalag, so you can ask directly afterwards in Mongolian if you have a question to Ms. Tungaa, our guest for today. So before we get into the interview, I want to say just a few words about Friends of Mongolia. For those of you who are new to our organization, we are an entirely 100% volunteer-run organization, staffed primarily by returned Peace Corps volunteers and our friends and colleagues. Our crew in Mongolia is entirely Mongolian, and we are dedicated to education projects, community projects, intercultural exchanges, and that's what this interview series represents. This is our first series, number 1. So congrats to our guest, Ms. Cholon Batar Enkhtungalag, for being our first guest on the first installment. A few things that we do our scholarship program, students from the countryside in Mongolia going to school in the city. We provide a full scholarship. That means tuition costs, books, board. We do that. We've done it for about 15 or 16 years, dozens of students, maybe close to 100 or more since we started our scholarship program have benefited. And our big donor is the Gervin family, family of Matthew Gervin, provide the overwhelming majority of the funds for that. We run a small grants program for NGOs. Most recently, we funded the Santos organization. They're doing a program in Western Mongolia in Ovshovd and Bayanolgi for combating domestic violence, a very important issue. We're also currently taking donations of baseball equipment that we're going to ship to Mongolia. We're doing that in partnership with Whitecaps and an NGO called Munjishand and the Allentown, PA Rotary Organization. So you can look for information about that on our website and on our Friends of Mongolia FB page. Okay, having said all of that, I want to introduce our speaker for today, Ms. Enkhtungalag Cholonbatar from Public Lab Mongolia. So Tungaa, maybe we can start just with an introduction. You can introduce yourself, tell us who you are, a little bit about your education, and a few of those things.
Sure. First of all, thank you so much for having me on the Friends of Mongolia speaker series. I'm honored to be one of the first. So just very briefly, I'm one of the co-founders of Public Lab Mongolia, and we've been running since 2018, so about 3-4 years. My educational background is in communications, namely intercultural communication and refugee studies. But I have been working in the civil society sector in Mongolia for the last 7 years. So. Oh, I can't hear you anymore.
Sorry,
oh,
I had my mute button on just to keep outside noise from coming in. Also, I should say about this interview, it's going to be recorded because we're on Facebook Live. It'll be recorded and uploaded to our Friends of Mongolia Facebook page for those who can't tune in directly. And it looks like there aren't too many of you right now. So talk to us about how you got started in some of this. You were part of a program, right, an exchange. Was it Community Solutions?
Yes, that's right. So I had the great opportunity to work with Conservation Colorado. It's an environmental political advocacy organization that operates in Colorado for many years. So I was there as a fellow in 2016, and it was really great where I, got to learn about environmental advocacy and community engagement and how they do them, at the same time and in liaison with each other in the US context. And I know that they have this one program called Scorecard program, and I was very impressed with it because it's a scorecard program where they score legislators on how they voted in environmental bills, such as, concerning air, land, public lands or water, things like that. And then they inform the public on how their, local legislators scored on those issues, and they raise awareness, and, inform the public to encourage greener votes, moving forward. And so this is one initiative that I really hope to see coming to Mongolia or happening in Mongolia, because I think it can be a very effective and meaningful way for the community to engage in decision-making process.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting. They don't have a similar, I mean, I know the NGO space is really big in Mongolia, but it seems like that connection kind of between the lawmakers, civil society, the citizens, the NGO groups, it's still sort of taking shape. Um, Maybe you can talk a little bit about your organization that you're with now, Public Lab Mongolia. How did it get started? What are some of the key projects that you've been working on? And how does that sort of affect the community development in Mongolia at the present?
Mm-hmm. So Public Lab Mongolia was founded in 2018, like I said, because we saw the need for voice that promotes the culture of open data, and all of our initiatives, again, relate or stem from open data or issues related to open data. And currently we're focusing on environmental and public health issues. So the way we see, the logic, I guess, behind that is, of course, we're a small organization and it takes a lot more than, just one organization and a few people. But we hope to start a conversation about open data, and, we really need to promote the culture of open data, right? So what I mean by that is, it's where the government and the civil society and research, institutions, share and collaborate, and really kind of use, open data as a means to promote better decision making in the end. And of course, when you have open data, you have more transparency and you have more informed public or informed stakeholders, and then you are able to have discussions about certain issues, on the same page, and then you can make better decisions. So that's kind of our rationale for existing. Oh, you're muted, I think.
Sorry, I keep doing that. It's a habit I developed from all these team meetings. I'm sure you know what I mean. Everything's like lagging,
Yeah.
but we like talk over each other. But what do you mean by that? When you talk about open data and data sharing, like what are the main principles behind that, and what are kind of the obstacles in Mongolia right now? Are people not sharing data? Are they not collecting data in the same way, meaning that they couldn't share data if they wanted to because they're not based on the same standards? Like what are some of the issues there?
Yes. So there are, I guess, two main things. One is there's availability of data, just simply, right? And then there is access to available data. So who can actually, access and get the data and use them. So the first one is, both are very significant challenges, I would say, that we are facing currently. So first one, availability of data. So for example, when you, let's say you want to look at socioeconomic, conditions in a given town or city, and you need information such as, income levels, educational levels, and types of professions that people are, or types of jobs people are holding, or unemployment rate and things like that. And then you look for this data and you find them, but you don't find exactly what you're looking for, meaning the data is either old, or you don't know the source, and so you don't know if you can trust, and you don't know if it's reliable, or that the data has a lot of gaps. So
Got
it's
it.
not consistent. You might have data in one part of the city or town, but then you don't have it for the other part, for example. So then you can't, when you have this kind of spotty, unreliable, all the data, you can't really run analysis and pinpoint areas, say, target areas for certain initiatives and things like that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I know that's a problem in Mongolia. It's not, I mean, it's not just in the NGO sector of what you're doing, but I think across the board. We don't always have the best data in the United States. We have pretty good research institutions, but we have the problems as well sometimes. Um, but what about, so this is all really interesting, but maybe you can talk specifically about some of the projects that are underway right now, Public Lab Mongolia. So you mentioned health-related projects, and I think you do also, I've seen these iOS competition projects that you guys run. Tell us a little bit about some of those.
Sure. So we're running some long-term programs because we want our activities to be sustainable and consistent and improving every year. And so one of our long-term programs is called Mapathon. And the Mapathon program aims to significantly improve the OpenStreetMap data for Mongolia. So basically, geospatial open data for Mongolia. And this has, huge significance for both government agencies, civil society, research, but also small businesses as well. Well, not just small businesses, but businesses. So, you can imagine that when you have better OSM data and when you know where the settlements are, where, different environmental like elements like rivers or, mountains, or when you just have data on, where the people are and where the issues, etc., then you can better respond in emergency situations, for example. And you can also plan service access better, right? Because you can see where the services are and where the people are and then where the gaps are. But then you can also support small businesses, when you improve, the roads, is it dirt road? Is it paved road? What is the street name of that road? Then, for example, delivery services can hugely benefit from that. And so we collaborate with the global OpenStreetMap community and open data community. And just as an example, recently my colleague, Enkhtungalag, who's also our executive director, presented at the United Nations World Data Forum on
Yeah, great.
using open data to support the COVID-19 response in Mongolia.
That's wonderful. That sounds really good. Yeah, I know I saw you guys, and these are really good projects, by the way. I'm very glad to hear about them. I know that you were part of, and it's probably connected to this, the COVID Cities Mitigation and Mapping Symposium that Harvard University Center for Geographical Analysis ran a couple of months back. You presented and they had a video, and I saw a lot of the different types of projects. And I was pretty impressed by how thorough the PLM project was, just overall compared to projects from other countries as well. But it seemed really useful, and I think you guys made Mongolia look really good in doing that. But maybe can you talk about that a little bit? How did that come about? How did you find out about it, and what was it like?
Sure. So the COVID cities mitigation mapping project, as you mentioned, is a great initiative. It basically tries to support support efforts to mitigate secondary impacts of COVID-19 pandemic. So for us, when we were conceptualizing the project and what is needed in Mongolia, we thought, well, at that time, actually, Mongolia didn't have any community outbreak then. It was, the situation was not as now. But we imagined that, if and when community outbreak does happen, and if the pandemic, takes hold in Mongolia, and spreads, then we're going to face, you know, healthcare service challenges. So, available healthcare services are going to be drained by the pandemic. And then people are not going to be able to access healthcare services,
Yeah.
both for COVID, but also for non-COVID situations, right? So there had already been, examples where, different departments at the hospitals have closed down because the hospital is, quarantined or taking COVID patients and can no longer run like pediatric wards or,
It's happening
physical
here too.
therapy.
Yeah.
Right. And so the idea was that, if that's the case, and currently the way people get information about different health services, so let's say you need to go and get some blood work done, or you need to go and see a specialist, then most of the time, more often than not, people will ask someone they know, right? Their friends or family, or friends who are their doctors or nurses or something like that. And
Yeah.
then some people would, go and try to look for information on Facebook or Google, but there's really no, portal where you can look up information on what kind of health services are available, and you can compare, by location, and you can like look at their website and things like that. So we thought this was actually a barrier to people being able to get the services they need. So we decided to develop this portal where the user can look up health services, including clinics, hospitals, family clinics, labs, and pharmacies near them, or in the districts or somewhere province they're looking at. So as a way to facilitate the process of accessing a service by making information available.
So that's really great. And I think you were talking about that it's an app, but it's a one-stop shop. It tells you where all the different services are. It locates the hospitals for you, right? And then so you can see exactly, like, you don't want to show up at a hospital and it's completely full. And they say go down the street, and then you go down the street and then that's full. You just have it in front of you and you can use it. And I think you were saying about that for other hospitals that want to join. I remember from the symposium itself, people could contact you, or there's a way to add your clinic or your hospital and new information. I think that's
That's
what
right.
sort of that's sort of what I think when I decided who was I going to bring on for our interviews. That was one of the things that made me think of Public Lab Mongolia and you, is the idea that when you reach out to the public in some way, and you reach out to NGOs and universities, whatever, you should be able to collect all the information and to be able to present it all at once, and to have this additive effect where through collaboration with others and through cooperation and bringing in more partners and bringing in their info, you're able to build something that's wider spread and stronger, and just more useful for a greater amount of people.
Yeah, exactly. So I just want to very quickly that, the portal and the app is also based on OpenStreetMap. So that means, anyone can contribute to that information. So of course, we're not going to be in a position to update this data every year, and that's just not sustainable. So we make it possible for, let's say I own a pharmacy, right? And people use this portal. So I want people to find my pharmacy when they need it. So I go and update my phone number or address or whatever. So then it makes it really easy and makes the data live. But of course, the key is to get people start using the app and the portal.
Yeah, to get that public recognition, so people are finding it, they know it's there, and then and so I guess that's one of the things. We do something in my separate non-Friends of Mongolia life, where we run this hackathon, and it's about developing apps for something totally unrelated, and you have to think about usability, the interface, how does it look, how easy is it to use. I'm sure that's one of the things that you were considering as well. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, these sound like really great projects, and sort of who are you working with, and who are you training? because I get the impression, because I've seen some of the broadcasts you guys have done, and it seems like there's a lot of like youth involvement, like young people are involved. They're doing the hackathons, they're helping build apps, they're trying to understand about open data usage and things. Um, do you feel like your group has a mission to reach out to young people and work with young people?
Yeah, for sure. So we really enjoy working with young people. You know, we love their energy and enthusiasm, and they just learn and they have ideas. You know, it's just really inspiring. So, and you know, Mongolia has a lot of young people, and I think
Yeah.
that could be really our, you know, one of our biggest strengths, to pave, you know, a better future. So we love working with youth. And so for the open data initiatives, we work with a lot of youth, you know, university groups, and also young people at the professional level in different across the country. We actually have trained community mappers in 21 provinces, and we still hold biweekly mapathons, and you know, people are able to join and chat and map, you know, and we choose or like a community lead, someone, you know, let's say in Bayangkot province or something would say, okay, I'll be the lead for next mapathon, and then we will map this SOM, right? And when you have, let's say like about 10 people logging in for an hour or so, completing a SOM, mapping it completely is so easy. And, you know, and then you can see before and after of, you
Yeah.
know, the area. So that's really great. So that's going on. But another youth initiative that I want to talk about is the air quality inquiry program. So this is a program that we're implementing in partnership with University of Colorado Boulder and National University of Mongolia. And the program basically provides STEM, science, technology, engineering, math education to young people on air quality. So this achieves a few things, right? So first of all, we are preparing these young people as air quality leaders and educators among their peers and the community that they're in. For example, this year we're implementing this air quality education program in 5 provinces, including like 130 youth. Um, and so also the youth, you know, get to develop understanding of science, technology,
Yeah.
engineering, and math, because they get to use, you know, the tech that was developed for them, and they follow this, you know, STEM-based curriculum, and they do data analysis, they research design, and so, you know, they develop these research skills, which better prepares them also for further studies in STEM fields and also future employability. Um, and lastly, you know, I mean, one of the biggest, I think, things of that program is that they really kind of learn to think critically, right? And then there's so many information and so many posts on social media, or, you know, all kinds of sources. But when they see this kind of claims or studies or research or, you know, statements on air quality or other topics, they are able to scrutinize the validity and reliability of the source of that information, and, you know, think for themselves. So that's really what we're excited about.
That's amazing. That's really great. And you hit on so many good points there. I think that's one of the things, I mean, all over the world now, just the ability to look at something and objectively say, hmm, uh, based on what I know and based on the facts and based on where this information is coming from and the type of data that's it coming in, I can say, this seems like it's true. This seems like it's not true. This seems like something that can be improved upon, and maybe this is something that's really difficult. So I think that's really important across the board, helping young people to think critically and build up their skills, which is what we try to do too at Friends in Mongolia with our scholarship, to build up the skills of young people, support NGOs to get things done. Um, this stuff is really great. Um, I know we only scheduled this for half an hour, and this is kind of our trial run to see how it goes. And it is being recorded, and it's going to be on our Facebook page. And I think you could even add it to yours as well on Public Lab Mongolia. But if there were anything that you could say sort of to the younger audience that may or may not be tuning into this live session, what would it be? And also, if somebody watches this and they say, hey, wow, I've got this great idea for a project, I think it would fit right in here. How are they able to contact you or the Public Lab Mongolia?
Yeah, so I would say we, we really value collaboration, and we're open to different kinds of collaboration. It can be an internship, volunteerism, or you come to us with a project idea and see, if we can add value to your project. And so, yeah, definitely feel free to contact us. You can find our website on www.publiclabmongolia.org.
Yeah.
I will also write it maybe in the comments. And yeah, all the information you need to get in touch with us are there. And, you can also find information on Facebook and Twitter and such. So
Great. Who are some of your current partners? I'm just curious, like some of the people that you're working with. I know you talked about SOMs and schools and whatnot.
sure. So we have National University of Mongolia. We also work with the National University of Mongolian University of Life Sciences. We worked with Arts Council of Mongolia, and we have some Breathe Mongolia. We also partner with, and international partners such as University of Colorado Boulder, Thriving Earth Exchange, the Asia Foundation, University of College London, Humanitarian OpenStreetMap, and so on and so on. So a lot.
I was going to say, you guys are doing a lot. You seem like you're really busy, and these are some serious partners. So it sounds like you're doing some really great and serious work. I think I'm probably going to close this. I might have chosen the middle of the afternoon on a weekday. Might not have been the best time to choose to do this, but I'm hoping we get a lot of views on the video once it posts. It was great that you took the time to talk to me today, because I know that you just are a dynamo of action, and there's a lot of people coming to you to do a lot of work. And I know your team at Public Lab Mongolia is also partly volunteer, and also maybe not. You're small but mighty. There's not that many of you, but you're getting a lot done. And this is exactly the kind of thing I think that Mongolia needs right now. You're promoting the skills, the resources, you're building the collaborations, and that's what's going to take to continue to raise up the country, or to continue to improve what's already a great country. So I'll say to you in Mongolian, thank you a lot. And if there's nothing else, I don't see any questions in the comments. So let's close it out, and I will talk to you at a later date. Bye-bye, my friend.
Okay, thank you so much, Petla.
Bye-bye.